we're making a nylon string classical guitar. You said I was going to be building much of it.
Yes.
So a lot of the pressure is on me.
To let you know, everything in this shop is willing to take off a finger in an instant.
Yeah.
We run fairly open guard on a lot of stuff. I've got tools that will make hamburger. I've got tools that will cleanly amputate. And I've got tools that can slice tendons. You know, you can always tell a good luthier because they can count to 10.
Yeah. I'm here today with Marshall Brunet, trained luthier, professional guitar builder of very high quality instruments. We did a video not too long ago where we looked at a guitar that was worth $250,000.
275.
Okay, a little bit more. You let us know, like, we could build one from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely. Based off of essentially a 37 Hauser made to be one of the most famous guitars in the world. At the end of it, it's your guitar.
That I made, kind of, with a lot of help. Well, one of my big goals of this video is for me, and hopefully the people watching, having gone through the whole experience of creating one of these instruments, coming out of it with an even greater appreciation for them. So we have 5 full days to do this.
And
this is going to be a longer video.
They are going to be busy days.
Yeah.
There is a lot to do. Normally I like to spend a month building a guitar. First off, we got to select some wood.
So what actual part of the guitar are we making first?
We're going to start with the top, the back,
with the top.
and the sides.
Okay.
And I think that this would probably be a reasonably good piece, or actually let's go with this one if you like this.
For the top.
For the back. That's some Indian rosewood. We've had this wood since 1986.
Yeah, because it's hard to get rosewood now, right?
It's not as difficult to get Indian rosewood because they grow this as a plantation tree in India as shade for the tea plants. So when it becomes to maturity and it starts to take up too many resources, they cut it down and replant. So this is a very sustainable and easily harvested wood.
So this is also just a different type of rosewood?
Yes. It's a little bit of a denser. It's got a slightly different sound, and it commands a bit of an extra premium.
This is more traditionally what fretboards were made out of, right?
Initially.
This particular type of wood?
Well,
rosewood?
it was either Indian rosewood or Brazilian rosewood back in the day when it was plentiful and nobody cared. Now we use ebony.
Whoa, so that's just a big stack of ebony.
We've got a couple ebony fingerboards.
A couple. Yeah. It's clearly growing in popularity to have ebony.
Yeah, and it's
fretboards.
just because it wears a lot slower than anything else, and it has a much better vibration transfer.
Yeah, this feels very familiar.
We age all of our fingerboards for a minimum of 7 years in our
really?
humidity-controlled environment. And that's just to make sure that we don't have any built-up stresses from putting a board that's a little bit too wet or too dry on, which can be a very expensive repair for a guitar to replace it. This is some European spruce. Let's do a little quick. If you hold it at about 22% of the length down, because that's the typical nodal point.
That resonates quite a bit. Get the mic right in. Yeah, it's vibrating like a drum.
Ooh,
wow. You can hear that constant tone.
You get a very strong sense of the sound quality in the wood. So you can hear the highs that sing and you hear the bass notes that resonate. You can also get a sense of the duration of the sound that it can carry.
Yeah, and with an acoustic or a nylon string like we're using today,
that is,
the transfer is...
It's absolutely paramount.
Yeah, totally. Back, Indian rosewood.
Yep.
Spruce top.
Spruce, yep.
Is it standard to have a very hard wood for the back of the guitar and very soft wood for the front? And it kind of acts like a drum, maybe, in that way?
It acts as a bit of a reflector. There is a lot of vibration from the back. A lot of your sound comes from the top. The back and the sides essentially act as a resonant chamber. Let's take these over and let's get them joined up. We make our own glue. This is hot animal hide glue. The renderings of animals. So like if you make like a thick stock, and you simmer the bones and you get all that collagen out, that's essentially this. In the 80s, they found a bunch of texts attributing this glue to the ancient Mesopotamians in use since the dawn of civilization. That's a track record that I can get behind.
Okay, so
what we have to do
is
we have to establish a straight line.
We're getting a flat edge to both of these sides so that we can glue them together and then we have enough for the back.
Right. Use our joiner here. And we're going to get this nice flat edge.
You can hear it coming off.
Oh, that's close enough for metal.
You got this glue ready, would you say?
That one is ready. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I got it lined up here.
Got it lined up there.
Okay, I'll try to keep this as close as I can get it. I can let go of it?
Yep. We'll be able to sand this out smooth. There's enough thickness here we're going to end up taking about half the thickness out of this.
Oh, okay.
We want to make sure that it's not raising up or anything. And we're going to just slather glue, spunk it down very carefully, and tighten. But not over tighten, because otherwise it can pop up. That's bloody. There we go.
Well, I think we nailed it.
I think so too. That looks really good.
I think it was mostly luck on my part, but that is just right on. That wasn't too bad. I thought that was going to be way harder. So then this, we just wait.
Yeah, this we just wait. 24 hours later. For the expediency of time, I've already got it backed up.
Oh, okay, cool.
We'll send this one through the sander.
It sounds like an ancient piece of machinery.
There's only 2 sanders like this ever made.
Really?
Yes.
Smells nice. Yeah, it does smell nice.
That's why they call it rose, because it smells like roses.
It does kind of smell like roses.
2.64 millimeters.
Is that what we're looking for?
That's about what we're looking for. We're going to scrape this out and get a center strip glued right up it.
Cool.
Have you ever used a scraper before?
No.
You're removing
what I
all
do.
the sanding marks, so that way we can get to the beautiful wood without that final sanding.
It gets hot.
It does get hot. Let's put a little sharpen on that scraper. It sounds like it's getting dull.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
But you're starting to definitely get some curls. So I'm just going to check it in the reflection of the light. It's actually smooth and shiny and shimmery.
So now we're just doing the same thing with the top.
Yeah. Let's establish our center line. We're going to use our universal template to establish where the sound hole is going to go. And since we're going to do 20 frets,
What's the standard that you use?
for me, it's always been 20,
20?
not 19.
Mm-hmm. Why the difference? Just an extra note?
Yeah, there's a lot of modern music that uses that 20th fret. It's easier to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Uh-huh.
This is for the center of the sound hole. Right here where that intersects is where we're going to drill the hole, so that way we can inlay our rosette, which is a Hauser-style rosette.
Ooh, you make this?
Yeah, of course.
This is really detailed.
Yeah, that's actually a fairly simple one.
How do you make this?
You start off with a good design and work in a grid and build each vertical column.
And do you make these around a circular...
Yeah.
Really, really small pieces of wood?
Yeah, they're
Really,
basically
really, really small pieces
half
of wood.
millimeter, 0.4 millimeter. You can kind of see how, if you take it in isolation, it's kind of pixelated. White, black, red, black, white. And then you make that stack, and so on and so forth, all the way around.
That is so cool.
It's like a
row of
sausage.
them? Yeah, so you make like a sausage.
Yeah, and you just slice it off, and you've got your pattern that runs through it.
Yeah.
So you get, 50 at a time. It actually acts to strengthen the sound hole itself, so that way it prevents cracks. Let's get this drilled in.
We could just keep it like that.
All right, small sound hole.
Yeah, very small. Oh, so you put this into the hole in the middle, and then it's just like a really dangerous compass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all we need to do, because
Oh,
so now we're going to put this guy
okay.
in here. All right, that looks default fine.
Looks good.
Good job.
All right.
We're going to get some glue onto this, and we're going to get it clamped down.
It's coming out a tad bit there, but I guess that's what the clamp's for.
Yep.
We got some significant progress here.
Oh, yeah.
How long do we have to wait until that's ready to go?
24 hours.
24 hours.
We've taken it out of the clamps. I pulled off some of that extra newspaper. Now all we have to do is scrape it off.
I guess that's going to be, the fretboard's going to be under there.
Right. Although we have to treat it all with the same level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about the intimacy of the joint. So we need to cut out this sound hole,
Mm-hmm.
but first,
Nice.
right?
This is your number 96?
Yep.
Your signature looks a lot better than mine.
This goes into my permanent archives.
That's super cool, man.
Oh, of course, and then you just sand off the rest.
Next up, we have to get some braces onto it.
What is the bracing on the inside of the top mainly for?
It's for the classical guitar. These are sound control bars. So what we are doing is controlling the stiffness of the top across the grain as well as along the grain.
Kind of like tightening a drum, almost.
Right. It's like tuning a drum, tuning a banjo head. It's something similar to that. We need a form. This is our fret ruler. So we're going to go 20 frets. So we're going to let the 20th hang out a little bit. So there is the edge of our body.
Is that the 12th fret?
This is going to be the 12th fret.
Why is it that the 12th fret is always at the end of the body?
Just familiarity.
Yeah.
It's like why most steel string guitars have it at the 14th fret. It's just the familiarity. For classicals, it's mostly because you want the bridge to be vibrating in a certain position in the top for the optimum amount of sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just tone optimization, and it just
It kind of makes sense that exactly half of the string would be on the body and exactly half wouldn't.
Right. We're just going to take this and there's our working guitar. We need to get our supports onto here first. So we're just kind of striking a couple lines. This one's vertical, which gives our sound hole the reinforcement it needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be our closing V.
Well, this is kind of like a analog EQ.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the more bracing, I imagine that would get a higher pitch, then less bracing would get lower.
Yes.
That'd be right. I would think that just like tightening a drum, like the more bracing, the tighter it would get.
If you have a low and flat brace, it's going to be very
So,
flexible.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Right. It gives you that really bassy, deep tone.
Mm-hmm.
In this direction, it's exceedingly strong,
Yeah, you're
but it
getting
has
more
the
of a-
same amount of mass, and you get a much higher pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In this, we want a nice even mix of whoa and nee.
So we're scooping the mids then.
Right. Now we've got our top laid out. Good working surface.
So where are the braces?
These guys here.
And what type of wood is this?
This is a cousin of cedar. It's got a good stiffness to it.
We're gonna cut these and put them on here? Yeah.
Every surface must be hit with a hand plane. Intimacy of contact.
Much better.
That looks good.
Cool.
That's a gluable surface. These are offcuts from your top for around the sound hole.
Okay. This brace is way thicker.
Yeah, good. Okay, same with that one.
Just slather it on there.
Now we have to use our fancy clamping system.
Awesome.
So let's make a neck.
All right. Would you make a headstock for every new guitar? Or you make headstocks in batches just like you do the inlays?
I make them in batches.
And then this is all one piece of wood that you make.
This is actually two. We cut it off here and then flipped it around.
Oh, okay. I see the seam.
You see the seam right there? It gives us the head angle that we need. We're attaching the heel.
What is a heel?
The part of the guitar that transitions from the neck to the back.
Okay. These are, you make those in bulk.
In making these, it's all about the setup time. Once I get the machine set up, it's just run it one after another, much like the necks and a lot of the other pieces.
The neck on its own looks pretty small, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
It starts to shrink pretty quick. So now we need to figure out the taper.
And this one is kind of a crucial.
This is crucial.
Yeah.
So
Can't-
stay to
can't mess
the
this up.
outside of the line. There we go. There we go. So now you've got more or less a neck.
So it's going to get a lot thinner than this?
Oh yeah. We're gonna put glue here. We're gonna just visually center it up. Get the back edge lined up.
You get it clamped. Cool.
And now you've made a neck.
Excellent.
We need to bend some sides.
This is the same wood that's going to be in the back.
Yeah, this is the match set for the wood.
Back and the sides are going to be
For
the
the back
same.
and sides, yeah. These have been thinned down. To the
Yeah, so
thickness
you
that
already
they're
sanded
gonna be.
these down in that machine.
Yes.
Get them to the thickness that they need to be.
Yeah.
And I've seen this before where you have like a mold and then you need to place that in the mold.
We're gonna do it the good old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm. How's that?
Well, we use a blowtorch and a pipe.
Yeah,
Awesome.
buddy.
Okay.
That looks like it's seen some heat.
Oh, this thing has seen some serious heat.
What you're doing is heating it up so that it can be flexible so that you can put it in this.
Right. We're melting the connective tissue in the wood. It's filled with lignins. As you heat it up, it stretches out and you can reset it into a new shape with the heat. Let's check the waist. Not bad.
Yeah, all right.
So let's go for the broad curves. So let the heat do the job. You'll feel it suddenly start to relax. Okay, so bring that hand down more. This way.
Smells like tea.
It does.
cool. It's actually quite good.
All right.
All right. Top
Now
side.
do a quicker one here.
Yep. All right.
Yay.
Hey, look, you found the guitar.
Yeah.
This is all workable.
All workable. Sweet.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's really impressive.
But what keeps its shape when you clamp it? Just time? You clamp it down, and after a while, it then just stays there?
No, by clamping it in tightly and marking the center lines, when we put our spreader bar into it, it's going to force it out to the final outline of the guitar.
Oh, and the spreader bars stay in the guitar permanently.
Until we're fitting the back.
And then the back keeps it on there.
Yes.
Okay.
A very impressive first crack at bending aside.
Thanks. Getting there. Are we using these?
Yep.
And these are another thing that you do like in bulk.
This is
This
how
is
we
cool.
bend that. It takes about 3 hours for this thing to warm up. And then it's an 8-minute cycle. So this will come down, hold it for 2.5 minutes, and then these outer arms come down and bring the sides down.
Super cool.
Super cool.
In case somehow you manage to get your hand stuck in this, we've got the safety switch that you can hit with your head. Put some glue onto here and just glue it up center.
And this is the back of the neck.
This is going to be the top along here. The neck is going to come out
Oh,
this
okay,
way.
okay. Guitar, neck. And this is the inside that
Yeah.
gives the neck support.
Yep. All we got to do is get some glue on there, line it up, and clamp it with one of the red clamps.
All right.
Make our tail block and our neck block.
Yeah, what would that be called?
The tail block.
Tail block. So we're putting these into the mold, cut off the amounts we don't need, glue them together.
Yes.
Yeah, this just looks like a guitar. A ghost guitar.
Ah,
So we've got our center lines lined up here, and then what we have to do.
wow. It sounds like it's cracking.
Yeah.
So now we need to put in the linings. Basically, what holds everything together when you cut away the edge.
We're now putting in the lining that you made on those machines in bulk.
Yes. There we go.
We cutting these to get?
We are. Yeah, we're gonna cut them. This is just to hold it in place while we get them marked out.
Bandsaw?
Yep. Nice. Well, let's see how these fit.
Right.
Tuck it in there. It looks like we're a little bit long. This is a 3/4 inch blade of death.
Ooh, that was satisfying.
Yeah, perfect.
We're gonna have to work relatively quickly. We're gonna get some glue onto this.
Yeah, how much time do we really have until the glue starts to really set?
About 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then we're gonna use these clamps and turn it around, and
To the other side. Getting really used to this smell.
What does it smell like, Rob?
Smells very animal-y.
now we can adjust it and start running clamps around.
Now we do the same thing with the other side.
Yeah, this thing starts to weigh quite a bit after a while.
Yeah. Awesome.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think I got it.
No, looks good.
This is a pretty cool looking thing on its own right here. It kind of looks like a trophy.
Yes.
or a weird centipede thing.
We got to finish bracing that top. So take this one out of the clamps, and we can actually
so
get
this
this
should
trimmed down.
Trying to get as straight of a cut as possible.
Yeah. That's the shape you want to shoot for.
Nice. I just got to put more even pressure on it. I'm putting way more pressure at the end. It's probably as good as I can do.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
It's nice and smooth. So this one comes out at 5 millimeters even, and
Hey!
close enough.
Yeah.
What we do is we line up the ruler, and just very simply, we're gonna and we'll just scrape that a little bit. Next thing we need to do, okay,
Wow. Terrible.
this is gonna be glued on here, and this one's gonna be glued on here. We need to put a little bit of relief into this one.
So we're just giving it a arch?
Yep. Don't rest your arm on this. 'Cause that's
Ooh.
Oh my god.
it's a little too happy.
A little too happy?
It's gonna clamp down this way,
It's
so that
gonna
way
give the...
it'll kind of release up to be a little bit more proud, which gives a little bit more of that presence.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is going to be flat, so we have to hit this with a plane. It adds to the ring.
It really does ring.
So let's get these guys glued down. Like everything else, I like to keep it over the glue pot and let it drip down. I like to get one end down, and then pull the other end down, and then check to see if it needs a middle point.
See it just barely curve it. Yeah, that is really satisfying. I have noticed that in classical guitars, and I always thought that just meant it warped a little bit over time. I didn't realize that that bit of a bulge right around the bridge was intentional.
Yeah, it is very intentional.
That doesn't look too bad.
So,
Now
we're going to
we're
make
on
some bridges.
Are these another thing that you make in bulk?
We make a bunch of blanks that are roughly oversized, because again, this is like a 14-step process to get to what you're seeing here.
So we put everything on the guitar was made by you here.
Yes.
But some of it makes sense to do in bulk.
Yeah, this is the end goal.
Mhm.
So this is what we're starting with.
And what is this?
That is bone.
Is that real bone?
Yeah, it's real bone. Animal bone is still standard, although a lot of companies are using the synthetic resin-infused bone-like product, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, a porcelain or something with resin. I've used it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I find that it wears a little quicker than natural bone. But that said, natural bone does have its drawbacks. I tend to source my bones from Japan. This actually used to be a Kobe beef cow.
Oh,
Okay, so
So even the bone is fancy.
well, in America, we've got our big open spaces for cattle to roam, and they're putting on weight at a probably slightly unhealthy rate. Their skeletal structure can't quite take all the extra stress. They start to get little microfractures inside of the bones, which turns into voids in the bone, which I don't like. The Kobe beef, because they don't have that jarring on their skeletal structure, the bones are a lot more consistent and a lot more compact. And otherwise, they'd just be, thrown away.
And is that bone there too?
Yep.
And you don't do any, like an electric guitar, there's no indent for these strings.
No, on a classical
Yeah.
guitar, it doesn't really matter. All these strings are very close to the same amount of tension. If you relieve the saddle like you would on an acoustic steel string guitar, it's not going to make a difference.
That's another really interesting thing about classical guitars. There's no adjustment in this bridge.
No.
You just gotta nail the intonation.
Yeah.
There's also no truss rod.
No.
Like electric guitar, there will be a truss rod all the way through the neck where you can help, you move the neck and you can adjust micro adjustments on the bridge to get the intonation right, because these frets need to be in a very particular spot. Obviously, you know
Right.
this, but I'm
Right.
saying it out loud now.
Yeah.
So the bridge, we just need to absolutely put in the right place. There's just no way around it. It needs to be exact.
Yeah, it needs to be exact. There's no two ways about it. So what we need to do is drill out the holes on the back.
Okay. Is this one piece of wood that you shaped to be
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah.
that's intense, dude.
Yeah.
We
Is
should
that
probably-
just glued on?
Yeah, this is actually going to go really, really fast. We're going to just give this a quick... We need to get this lined up on that plinth as best as you can.
So you put how do you get the glue on then?
We use capillary action.
You just put it on the top and it falls into the...
Yeah.
That's all you need, just a little bit in there.
Yeah, it actually wicks down all the way through.
Cool.
You've got your plate glued onto there.
So that's in there now.
That's in there.
That was really fast.
That was really fast.
It was. Just take out all the machine marks. Let's see.
And so what you're doing with this is just tapering off things.
Yes. So
Look at
just
that.
like that.
Beautiful.
Great.
Just have to do a little bit of finessing over here, and we're good to go.
Cool.
See, create an even ledge all the way around.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nice.
Am I going too much? Maybe I'm going too much.
Maybe. Just give it a little cleanup.
No, looks pretty good.
That looks really good.
Yeah, it looks great.
So now we want to sand off the backside of this.
The bone does not smell as good.
No. Intelligent engineering. I'm not going to have you do this because I've sliced my thumb pretty badly doing this.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, I see. Yep, I could definitely see how that could...
All right, and there we've got 6 strings all marked out.
Do you drill those?
Yeah. We're going to drill into it this way. You're going to want to ease into it. Just go nice and slow. Take your time because you don't want to blow through and drill into your saddle.
So we're only going halfway through it.
There we go. All right.
Woo! Okay, it's up and down, going up,
Yep.
then goes down, then goes up. That's actually a thing on electric guitars.
Intentional.
I did not intend that, but
Yeah.
this was totally a mistake. But
It works.
that's how I'm going to justify it. Yeah, I
Sure.
think the left to right spacing I think is fine.
Yep.
And ultimately that's what matters here.
You know, once we get the strings on, you won't notice.
Yeah.
I always like to listen to them.
That concludes what we're doing today with the bridges.
That concludes what
Okay,
we're doing
cool.
with the bridges.
We got a bridge.
Let's get to bracing that. So we start with the longest one, and then we go to the next shortest, and so on and so forth. Perfect.
Cool.
So that's, by my count, 7. Unfortunately, we need to clean all 3 sides of this.
Oh yeah, this is tough.
But I like how you're using
there we go.
the angle.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
That looks about right.
Yeah. All right.
You brace your first guitar top.
What is the bracing on the back?
You've got your back here. Now to take it out of this guillotine clamp. It provides really nice even clamping without a whole lot of thought.
And how long has this been sitting in here?
Oh, this has been overnight. So now we're gonna scrape these up and we'll round it over.
I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it, you know, like
Yeah.
feeling when it's cutting through and cutting through all the way. I'm trying to just slowly change my angle a little bit more every time.
That looks close enough to sand. So I'm gonna trim this back so it terminates nicely. Oh, we have to shape our braces.
Oh, is it gonna look like that?
Yeah, it's got this arch built into it.
It doesn't sit flush with the guitar?
No, the guitar backs are not flat. They're actually all domed slightly.
Oh, of course. This back end is not going to stay flat. We're going to put in braces on it to curve it.
Yes.
Is this the curve we're going for?
Yep.
Oh, and we're going to cut that into it.
Yes.
So we're not bending it.
No,
Or-
we're cutting in the arch and then flexing the back to the arch.
Clamp it in and cut it off to that curve.
Yes.
So there's the curve. Just a few run-throughs.
Yep. I just visually line it up to widest part of the base. About there. Widest part of the upper back. Let's cut in some braces. Grab the knife and just put just a light nick.
Just right here.
Take your saw, put the very tip of it. Okay, now
Bring this
bump
up to
this up to it, and saw gently. Let the saw do the work.
Feels like I went through.
Then you bring this back, you bump it up just past it. Now just saw it straight down.
Almost through. I think I might be through now.
Yep, there you go. Use that guy now.
This guy, make sure
Yep.
to not put my fingers in it.
Yep. Yep, careful.
Yep, got a little
So-
bit of the back there. Easy. Ooh, yeah, this is a little tricky. There we go. I'm gonna get a bit more of the sides. I'm going into the wood quite a little bit.
That's all right. Most of that will be covered up, so I'm not going to worry about that.
Oh, there's a little bit of a nit.
Good. How is it?
It's a little loose.
You know, once we get some glue in there and we glue it up like that, you won't notice.
Mhm.
We can show how tight that one is. Oh,
Yeah, well done. That's how a professional does it. This is how I do it. Let's check this out.
But now we're going to glue this down.
And get the back.
Yeah, we're going to press
Curve
the
to
back
them now?
into the arch.
Okay.
Yeah. This has the same curvature.
Yeah, it has the same curve. Okay, I was wondering about that. It's about even.
Yeah, looks good. That's all you need. Go ahead and plug it in. Good enough.
Yeah. Got it kind of on the side.
Something over it.
right.
All right.
That's a great day one.
That's a great day one.
We're making the glue.
Yeah, we're making glue. This is basically the collagen of rendered animals.
It's just the collagen from the bones.
Yeah.
And then depending on what you do with it, it's either Jello or glue.
Right. This stuff is legitimately stronger than the wood itself. So with a good bond, it won't break at the joint. It will break at the wood. If you don't have an exactly perfect joint, this will take care of a lot of it.
All right, let's make some glue.
All right, so give me about a finger in there. Add about an equal amount of water. That's good. And then all we have to do is heat it up after it blooms for about 15 minutes. You've got some carving to do. You got to finish out your braces over there.
Yeah, we got this all nice now.
All carved down.
That looks lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I can hear now with the bracing. Got a bit of a drum quality.
And you can hear the high ends and the low ends across the spectrum. A lot of those original qualities that you heard in the piece of wood are really being accentuated in this.
Mm-hmm. We have these. We've got the sides of these. Just need to get these done.
So just kind of keeping the chisel really low. And we're going to want to get it to basically feather in.
Oh, jeez. How low did you want it?
In the beginning, it's good to take the heavier cuts.
Okay, I didn't intend to, but I'm glad that it's
You're accidentally okay.
okay. I'm accidentally doing the right thing here, maybe.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a pretty good cut.
That was a very
That
nice
was
cut.
very good.
Cool.
And that's all kind of interlaced over the center line.
Mhm.
So that way it creates an extra layer of structure.
All right.
Now we need to fit the sides to this so we can get the sides glued
Yeah.
onto the top. We
Lovely.
got the sides that have been leveled off.
Mhm.
So we have to get this lined up on the center line.
Mhm.
Looks like we're going to have to trim the end of this
Oh,
braid.
that goes right up to it.
Yeah, we're going to have to trim just a bit right there, I believe.
You're really not used to taking a saw to a guitar?
No. No. Okay.
You can see how I've got that center line
Yeah.
resting right on the center line here. Yeah, this is just a piece of an old hacksaw blade that I've ground down. We're marking out the location of the braces because it's got this little hook edge on it.
Oh, okay.
Get a really exact cut on where that brace is gonna
Yeah.
go. Just giving it a cut across.
Yep. Because it'll be really, really hard to line this back up exactly where it is. Hopefully we've got everything marked out well. So you can actually see here the brace positions.
I don't know if you can see it on camera. In real life, though, it's pretty clear where
Yeah.
the lines are.
So the next step is just to cut these off, but keep the height, and then you put that depth in there so it clamps in. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're going to have to excavate out those little pockets as well. Ideally, it should fit first time for the last time.
Like a Lego piece. If we did it, if we marked these correctly,
It'll just fit
just
right
out.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glue really had it on there.
Yeah, this glues.
Ooh, that is really on there.
And you can
Yep.
see it was the wood that failed,
Mhm.
not the glue itself.
Wow.
You want to try popping it?
Give it a shot.
Let's go from the...
Ooh,
There you go. Nice. Nice.
nice. All right.
We have to figure out how much to cut these down. And this is kind of our depth gauge.
Mhm.
So we have this nice and even
Yeah, yeah.
across the top.
Oh, yeah.
Scratch it in right there. Scratch it in so you can see the line right there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to cut right on the line, but I'm not cutting through the side.
Okay.
Just cutting through the inside.
And then we're gonna chisel that out.
Right. Yeah, we get to use literally the most dangerous tool in the shop.
Just a really small chisel.
Yep. And pop it out. That's just a light push and a quick twist right up to the line.
Ooh, really don't want to go into the wood to the side.
Yeah.
Ooh. I could see how easy it would be to do that, though. Ooh.
Ooh. Ugh, I might have taken a bit too much off there.
You didn't poke through the outside, so you're fine. Very clean, very concise.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully it just...
This is one of my favorite parts of this.
Ooh.
There we go.
That is satisfying.
Woo!
Yeah, get an up-close shot of, like, these joints especially.
Nice.
Now we're going to glue it.
We apply the glue to the body,
Yes.
not to this. Okay.
We're going to have to move really quickly.
Ooh, this does smell fresh.
What does it smell like?
I mean, it smells like collagen from bones.
So we're going to slather this, and we're going to come back and dab, 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 dab. If you paint, then you end up scraping the brush along it, and then you get drips. This is going to come up Flip over, come down,
Ooh.
That
That
is
is
so satisfying.
big clamp, the neck block, big clamp at the tail block. I'm just doing this to pull it down to the edge. If you hear it go crunch, you've gone too far.
Whoa.
I think that's tight enough. That's just a settling in crack, not a bad crack.
Last one.
Last one. Very nice.
Cool. All right.
That's half the guitar.
That's half the guitar.
It is kind of almost sad in a way that once this is closed up, we're not going to be able to see this.
Well, we'll always have this memory to look back on.
Yeah, I guess we got plenty of footage of it.
And give me a smile. There we go. Let's get the back prepping. We need to carve the scallops onto the end.
Just like what we did
Just like what we
with
did.
these bracings, but 6 times.
Yes, I've got it marked out to a predetermined length from each end. Now we're going to take it, put it in. This is one of the nastiest
Whoa.
saw blades.
So we're just cutting down the sides here.
Yep, just right up to the line.
Good call with these. That is really loud.
We have to figure out how thick our body is so we can trim our neck end.
Where
thick-
the neck is going to attach is
93 and a half millimeters from this surface here up to here, because we're going to make the heel cap the same thickness as our back. So 93 and a half. Remember that number.
93 and a half. So we want this heel cap to be exactly 93 and a half.
Yes. This has the taper of the back onto it. As you slide it forward or backwards, you can adjust the thickness of the heel cap. Very simple.
Yeah, because the guitar body does have a bit of a...
Right, it's got the taper, it's got a dome, and this is extending that line. So now we've got
Yeah,
our thickness. Let's get a heel cap onto here.
What is the purpose of the heel cap?
It was to keep the neck angle and keep everything together. For our purposes, it's just decoration.
Awesome.
We're going to work up here.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be into the center of the heel, full length. This is a spline system.
So, and what is that?
Here's a Spanish heel.
So it's
The other-
one piece of wood.
Right, it's one piece of wood. They cut slots into it and slide the sides in. The reason this is a poor method, if you're gluing the top on and you get glue into there, the sides will not go in. So you don't ever put glue in. It's just a slip fit. With the pull of the strings, it can actually slide in and collapse in on the guitar, causing the action to raise up.
With electric guitars too, that's a very more affordable guitars. Once you have them for a little while, that's a very common thing with them.
Yes.
Is the pull of the strings will slowly move it. What's the benefit of doing it this way then?
Tradition.
Oh, really? Okay.
So this way that I do is adapted from the way that the Japanese do it, which is why Japanese guitars never need resets. They fit the neck to the body with the neck angle already built in.
Steel strings is a totally different build.
It is.
Yeah, of course.
And I've done them. But
Yeah.
I don't use dovetails on my steel strings anymore because it's an inferior joint.
How does a dovetail joint then?
Basically, it's a V that's flared.
And it just wedges into the body?
Yeah, it wedges into the body, so you're relying on the compression.
From my world of electric guitars, the necks are usually just one big piece that you bolt on, and it's literally just bolted to the body.
2 or 3 bolts, and then maybe a shim pack or something to adjust that angle.
I use a neck through body where it's just one big piece of wood actually all the way through. So very, very different than this.
Yes. So this one, we're going to take the router.
Yeah. So you're going to drill into this,
Yep.
get it slid into there, and then are you going to add another piece of wood onto the body and then Lego it in like we did with that?
Yeah. Nice and easy. Ready to carve this?
Yeah. This is so cool. I guess I could wait a second.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your duplicators.
Yeah.
They downloaded your neck, and then I've never seen any machine like this.
So this is how we make the necks.
These two are made to be in the exact same spot over the necks, and then you just trace basically.
Yeah.
So really dangerous tracer.
Yes.
So you're tracing on the right, and what you are tracing with this guy right here,
Yep.
this is doing.
Yes. What I like to do is use my 2 fingers out here, kind of as a guide. So this is extra stability so it doesn't want to kick out. You comfortable?
Barely. Yeah.
I am nervous.
You know? So get this hand down. There you go. So that way you're always grasping this and the pin at the same time. Give me a blood-curdling scream if something goes wrong.
Okay. I've been grasping it so hard. This is a really cool process.
Isn't it?
Wow. There was a few times too where it did really like.
Yeah, you can feel where it wants to kick.
That gown I swiped from the hospital when Marshall was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is very cool. You can kind of keep it this way for a really uncomfortable guitar neck.
It's rustic.
Yeah. And on the first day, you were telling me how you age the ebony wood
Yes.
for 7 years. And now I have a clear reason why. How the frets jut out from the wood.
Yeah, very rough on the edges there. That's because the fingerboard has shrunk.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it shrunk is because when that fingerboard was glued onto the neck, the fingerboard itself had not fully seasoned and come to equilibrium to the shop humidity conditions that the guitar was built at. It did the final seasoning on the guitar itself. So as it shrank, the frets are metal and they don't shrink, so that it feels like the frets have poked out, but what's happened is the fingerboard has shrunk against them. After crack repairs and finish touch-ups, it's one of our most common repairs.
Yeah. That's why you guys keep your ebony for 7 years before using it.
Yes.
And why on more affordable guitars you always see those types of fret ends jutting out.
Yeah.
That's why.
All right, so we got to pop this out of the clamps.
Ooh. Oh, hey.
And this is where we figure out if we've glued it in or not, which we did. That's okay.
Those cracks are, I know we're supposed to hear that, but
That's always such a satisfying
yeah,
moment.
yeah, it really is.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Next up, we're gonna route all the excess off.
Rob, are you just standing there admiring your body?
Yet. Yep. It's a really nice body I got here. Time to cut off the sides.
You just freehand it? Yeah.
This is called a flush trim bit because it trims off flush with this.
That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful work.
you can also get a good sense of how it's going to stand up.
I kind of want to just hang this in my house.
Well, all right, next. We got to plane this down.
This tool I've always had trouble with. Jeez. I think planing might be my least favorite part. The planer to me just feels finicky, and I mean, I'm sure if I was actually good at it, it wouldn't feel that way, but... Oh yeah, you're really going for it.
There we go. That looks great.
Awesome.
That should do it. So now we need to clean up the insides a little bit because this is our last chance to make it look pretty.
What is the reason for the rounded back? Is that for stability?
It's a little bit for stability and a little bit for humidity protection. When a guitar gets dry, or at least an acoustic one, the back will shrink. And so it gives it a little bit more room to shrink in. And it also helps to direct the sound because it kind of acts as a bit of a speaker cone or like a parabolic reflector. You can do it flat, it just doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
We're just going to clean up the edge here. I'm just going to use a scraper.
Oh my god, that sound is awful.
Yeah.
Really? That sounds like money to me. All right, there we go. So we'll get the back fit.
We're about to close it up.
Line up our center lines here.
What makes it pretty easy. And then this side? Yep.
Yep. You know, we've distilled down a lot of trial and error to get it to where it's easy. Grab the saw, grab a hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting pretty confident with this.
And if I mess it up, it's my guitar.
We'll have to live with the consequences.
All right. I think that's it.
All right, well.
Keep it low. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, keep it low. Keep it low.
Luckily, that's outside of. That's going to be taken off, but good call. I put a really good chip into the side there. All right. It's pretty satisfying.
Very satisfying.
I could get rid of this.
Yeah, those do need to be kind of cleaned down to the edge. Go ahead and see how it fits.
Hopefully, this just fits right in. Oh, I think it does.
Oh, it fits.
All right. Well done.
Yeah, well done to you, too. Spot on.
All right.
If you look inside there, you can get that perfect mortise.
Beautiful.
Next step, clamping this down,
We got a glue.
putting a bunch of glue on it.
That's it. That's the last time you're going to see the beautiful inside of
I
that
know.
guitar, man.
I know. And how, if you just, oh, it's really in there.
Yeah. It's on there.
That's so cool.
Looks like we're ready to close.
Awesome. So just to be authentic, we should put some guitar picks in there
yeah.
even before. There we go.
Perfect.
And same deal. Gob, gob, dab, 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 dab.
I'll guide it into the slots over here. Good.
It's really snug.
Again, we're going to go clamp, clamp.
Medium, 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 flip levers.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. I love a bunch of clamps.
Yeah. Next up is working on this then, I guess.
Yeah, we got to drill out our holes.
Yeah. Love it.
Let's do it.
We're going to line it up here. You're going to step on that, hold it until it stops moving, and then just release it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's all you need.
So cool.
Because this is our usual headstock that we use so
Mhm.
much.
You just
Having
have it.
something like this set up, I mean, you saw how easy it is and how much
Yeah.
time it actually saves.
Mhm.
We need to carve that down a little bit and at least smooth it out.
How do we smooth this out?
Just a little bit of a file and shape up the heel here. We're not going to worry too much about this because we have to glue the fingerboard down. We do want to get this heel portion cleaned up as much as we possibly can. What I like to do when I'm trying to make sure that I don't skip a spot, I'll take the pencil and draw some lines on it as I'm
You know what you
going
haven't
through.
worked on yet.
Right. It's obvious if I'm overworking in one place versus underworking in another. That's looking pretty good. Why don't you move over to the other side? Because the hard part now is going to be getting
it to
both
be the
sides.
same.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not round it off.
But yeah, we're off
just
by
the
just a
tiniest
half a
bit.
millimeter.
All right. Seems good to me. We getting the blowtorch back out for this?
Yes.
Yeah. How
Which
many are we gonna use?
We're only going to use 4. Unless we break 1. 4, 2, or 3. Give us our waistline right here. We've got a little bit of extra on both sides, so we don't have to be super neurotic about our waist.
Wouldn't you have to be really, really accurate to get this on, or is it still a little bit?
This is still going to be a bit on the flexi side once we get it in. The most important part is getting the waist bent properly.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I guess that's why we have 7 others.
Keep it moving a little bit. Give it time to bend. Let the heat sink into it. This is within workable, but I definitely like to get a little closer than this. And we can pull it in, but it'd be more ideal if it was a little closer. Not that bad. Yeah, you can tell how much more tension you have to put into this. We can work with that. We're gonna bend your bridge.
So it does need a.
It needs a little bit of perk. You just kind of lean on it, and as the heat works its way through, you'll actually feel it start to go.
Yeah, now I feel it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how it just like
Yeah.
sags. It's like nothing, sag.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's probably about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
I just didn't realize that that was intentional.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Delicious. Let's pop this sucker out, and we can buzz this one off.
Okay.
Moment of truth. Sounds good.
It's interesting now too to know what these, because I've looked into acoustics many times and seen these braces. It's fulfilling to see them in the exact angle that I always see them in.
Yes. Now to know that you are the one who's done it.
Yeah, and when we put it in, this exact corner that I wasn't really thinking about is what you're going to be seeing when you look into it. There's something special about that.
Good.
So yeah, that's
So that's
first time using that machine.
It is.
It's got a nice wooden box.
We need to cut away this corner here and then this corner here so we can give this a quick scrape. And then we put an inlay. This one we have to be very careful because we're getting really close to our finals.
Mm-hmm.
You can now get an assessment of the joinery.
Yeah.
That looks nice and tight on the inside as well. Good job. So we need to scrape this down because we want to get this nice and smoothed out now.
Okay.
If you feel on the outside, it's pretty rough.
Oh yeah.
Not because we didn't scrape it and sand it, it's just because we added water, water puffs up the wood, we've added glue, we've run routers over it, and the router has left these big, huge bearing marks. They've got some glue drips here, had a little bit of char in the waist from bending it. Not bad. So all we have to do is do the same thing for the other side.
Okay, what is that?
This is veneer that I've dyed. 0.3 millimeter black, 0.5 millimeter red, 0.5 millimeter white.
And veneer is just very, very thin wood, like cut like paper.
Yeah. Basically, it is essentially wood paper. I glue this all up in a big sheet, run it off at an earlier time. Like many things before, it's easier to bulk it out and do a whole bunch of it.
So there's more decoration then. I was under the impression that it was just this. Yeah.
So this is going to go on.
Oh, okay. Now this makes a lot more sense. So top of the guitar, veneer is on the inside.
Okay.
Which are those 3 really small pieces, basically of paper, of different wood, different colors, but in the inside to give it some decoration. It's like you have a little rainbow of like 4 colors.
Right. So what it'll end up doing is looking like this once we're done.
Doing all this as you said, for the front and the back is going to take.
Probably
Very long
about 3
time.
to 4 hours.
Yeah. What's the most time-consuming part?
The final sanding, we're working pretty clean here, so I'm looking at probably 8 hours of sanding. Woo, that's one
Everything is
session.
done, but there's still 8 hours of work just to sand.
Yeah, between that and the French polishing, which takes about 12 hours.
12 hours.
I'm really fast.
Plus the 8 hours of sanding.
Plus the 8 hours of
So
sanding.
you're looking at 20 hours from the point where this is
Where it
looking
looks like
just
a guitar.
finishing.
yeah, like in the camera, it's going to look totally done, and you still have 12 hours to go.
Yeah.
20.
20.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
20.
20, because 8 final sanding,
Yeah.
12. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, each guitar typically has 100 plus hours in it.
And
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That really scared me.
I'm going to take the first pass of this one, which is what we've got set for this. And then I'm going to do the veneer pass. And these we have to be very careful. If you're off square of the body itself, you can change the depth of the cut. That is loud. This is one of the loudest guitars I've ever worked on.
So it's loud because of the guitar, not because of the machine.
Yeah, which means it's going to be a good guitar. The louder a guitar is when I work on it, the better I know it's going to sound.
That's so cool looking. Big veneer shelf, small veneer shelf.
Yep.
I love how you can see the bracing on this side, too.
Oh yeah.
That's very cool.
Find the waist here. Now bring us to just slightly long, which is good. Nothing fancy, but just enough to square it and make it nice. If you bring it all the way around to
Then
here,
you don't see the joint.
nobody will ever see the joint because it's where they expect it not to be.
Yeah,
A special tape that we
they're
use.
really strong.
It's really strong. It's got PSA, which is a pressure-sensitive adhesive. So the harder you push down on it, the harder it sticks to the wood.
Okay. Do you glue the veneer and the inlay all at once?
Yes.
I guess that would. How else would you do it?
Yeah. In with the glue. Like that.
Okay.
And then we're also going to get this. And we'll line up our line.
Ooh. That's got to be some really heavy duty tape.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. Is that veneer in there?
Yeah. And it's all the way down.
I don't know how to use this one. That's
I've
pretty
actually
simple,
got-
isn't it?
Yeah.
Marshall, I've been impressed throughout this whole process. This time, though, more than anything else, I think.
Really?
Yeah. There's something about this
Well, it's starting to really take the form of
Yeah.
the guitar.
that seemed a tad bit off, but now with the inlay on the sides.
All we have to do is trim off the ends. That's about it. So now it looks like a guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm sticky.
Kind of surprised that the glue and the tape hold.
Oh.
It just seems like it wants to pop off so bad.
Yeah, it's good tape.
Now as well, understanding how the veneer works here and how this is made, I appreciate it even more.
One of the things I like to do at this point is I just like to hear the guitar because as soon as you cut away all the corners, it takes a lot of the resonance out. It sounds so good.
It's beautiful. All right, shall we get the rest of the tape?
Yeah, let's get the rest of the tape off. At this point in time, you know, we're really close to being done in terms of the absolute woodwork, and then we get into the finish and setup and all that sort of fun stuff. I also have your tuning machines.
Oh, right on.
Whoa.
One
These
is-
are wood, yeah?
Yeah, these are ebony.
I really love the look of ebony.
For most guitar makers, this is the upgrade.
Yeah.
Let's scrape this sucker down. This is kind of where you see how good of a job you did.
Lovely.
I'd say that's fairly tight.
Oh, yeah. Feels a little wrong to do this.
So now it feels, you know, very guitar-like. And then all we have to do is the same for the top. Speaking of which, can you see the joint?
No, I don't see it.
It's actually right here.
I still don't see it. Oh, I do see it.
There's like a
I do
ever
see
so
it.
slight pop in the line, and that's it.
Barely, though.
Let's go with this one.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the fretboard.
Yeah, this is going to be the fat board.
Am I sanding everything here, including this?
Yeah, you're going to sand the whole top because when we glue the neck on, we need to have the fingerboard area nice and smooth. So just sand the whole area. You want to especially focus around the edges.
Yeah, especially where
we've got
we
the
can still see some glue here.
Right.
That was satisfying. I also like how you can tell how good it is at amplifying things when you put the machine right by where the bridge is going to go. It gets really loud.
Well, yeah, you actually have to be careful because when you have the top vibrating like that, you can cause ripples in the top to show up later on because it's sitting there vibrating and you're sanding thinnesses and thicknesses into it at that frequency. So we have to be careful.
yeah.
So now all we have to do is take down the edge, and I'm going to warn you again, when you scrape down this side, this is going to turn into a very, very, very sharp edge. To scrape down the sides, we're going to need, obviously, the scraper, a sanding block, some sanding paper.
Time crystal. We use a scraper for this one.
Yeah. So this is typically where I cut myself, either coming across here or running down here on my thumb.
Yeah. I've done this enough now that it doesn't really feel wrong. Where at first, just taking a scraper to the guitar certainly did feel wrong. That's satisfying.
It is. I mean, look at those curls. Those are pro curls.
That's really satisfying too, having the inlay and all of this work here just feel like one piece of wood.
Right.
Like you can't feel.
Yeah, if you feel over
Where it
here, you
ends.
can actually feel how
Oh, yeah.
much is overhanging.
Just scrape all that off.
And you can see how flexy those sides actually
Holy
are.
cow.
Yeah.
They're like under 1.5 millimeters. Now that we've got this all scraped down, there's still some scraper marks and some chatter. We're going to sand in as big a broad of strokes as we can.
And then we just move it around to the other
Yeah,
side.
and we do
same
the
thing?
other side, same thing. So we're going to make my secret varnish recipe.
Okay, for the absolute basics, what is varnish?
Varnish is the protectant that goes on the wood. You can add color, you can add tint.
And this varnish goes on everything.
On
The
everything.
entire guitar gets varnished. Everything except for the fingerboard gets varnished.
Right. We're going to start off with ultralight shellac.
What is it?
This is the exudation of a bug. Bug
It's,
poo.
yeah, bug poo.
Bug excretions mixed with tree excretions. So when a bug bites a tree, the tree puts out sap. The bug dies, gets encapsulated with the sap.
And that's how,
And you extract
that's
the
how we get
DNA and-
dinosaurs. Yeah.
I don't know which one of us was going to jump on that.
Right. Very highly refined. This has been washed and processed a number of times, so it's really, really clear. This is the rawest, untreated form of
Oh,
this.
this is this.
Right. Chunks of stick and bits of bug and...
So varnish is
This mixed with alcohol. 190 proof.
Everclear.
Everclear. On an acoustic guitar where you are relying on the wood to make its sound and to make the music, the less you can have on the surface, the better it is. This is basically to protect it from your skin oils, not even the elements.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you just put in there?
Oh, that's a magnetic stir bar.
That's so cool,
That is
dude.
so cool.
It's just a little thing you drop in there, and then the magnet does the thing, and then it spins, and then it's stirring it.
It's so cool. How long does this go for?
About a day.
About a day.
Or 2 days a week.
Oh, so this is on here spinning for days.
Yeah.
And then we're ready to put it on the guitar.
Yep.
Oh, so we're drilling into the top?
Yeah, we're drilling into the guitar. So we use this to wrap the cavity for our neck. Line this up
On the
here.
center line.
Lined up on the center.
It's looking pretty on to me.
This tells you where the bridge will go.
Do all the guitars you make are the same scale length so that you just keep using all the other same tools? Because as soon as you change scale length, all the frets change.
Right. No. I use all sorts of different scale lengths.
So do you have a different tool for every scale length?
Yeah, I've got a different
course,
ruler
right,
for
yeah.
every scale length. And if I don't have one, then it just involves a lot of math.
Yeah. This is off just a little bit. Then
Right.
everything after like the 12th fret is wrong.
Right. I'm not gluing the bridge on here at this
Uh-huh.
point. This is kind of the last thing that's going to go on.
Yeah.
We've got this converging line here. See how those grain lines are kind of converging?
Uh-huh.
We want to get that right on the joint. So then I just put these wedges into it. So that way I know it's not going to fall. Clamps onto both sides. Moment of truth. Look at that.
Whoa.
That's a groove. Perfect.
All right.
Pick the dust out.
Get another piece of wood in there and then just glue
Yep.
that on.
We still have to fit the end of this, and we have to establish our necking. Most classical guitars will have about a 3 millimeter lift over the entire length of the fingerboard. So again, if you take from right in front of the bridge to the edge of the body to the end of the fingerboard, there's going to be a 3 millimeter lift.
Look at this thing.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
We've got our center line struck all the way up here, so we're going to slide the neck into this, clamp it down. This piece has our neck angle already built into it.
So we put both the body and the neck in here,
Yep.
and then just sand it to the right.
Yeah, so we've got our center line lined up.
Mm-hmm.
That's held down. Don't have to think about that.
So you got the angle by just putting this.
Okay, so that piece
This is-
there adjusts the angle.
Right, and then, we've got our lock nut, but we can adjust it up or down as needed. But we've got it dialed in for probably 98% of what we do.
I love how you can see the angle there. It's very, very slight, but so important that that angle is there.
Whoa.
Said it's gonna jump. Got it? A little more.
Yeah, it makes it really easy.
Right, so at this point, before I take anything down, I like to check, make sure that this is fully sanded.
And there you've got your angle.
And you've got your angle.
There you go.
And then, because you measured carefully, you can see exactly what your heel cap reveal is going to be. You can actually get a sense of what the guitar looks like all together.
I love the dust on it too.
Give this a quick sand, we're going to glue this up, and then we're going to get started on our fingerboard.
Lovely.
And we use the guitar body, the very body it's going on is our reference. Oh, you're putting it on that way?
Is that?
Oh, shoot, we did it backwards. So this is what your guitar is going to look like.
I love this. Get a shot of that ergonomic fingerboard here.
Every time we glue these on, we take the straight edge and our things and we check the angle, we check the alignment. 40 years of doing this, I've never had one that was not in perfect alignment with the perfect angle.
Excellent.
We just wanted to clean off the sanding glaze, so that way we get a really good glue bomb. That's going to go in there. Just hunkers down like that. You can see that our center line runs straight up here all the way down.
Is this fretboard going to go all the way into here?
Yeah, it's going to go all the way to the edge. It's going to cover, most of that.
We have reached the point where you could put a string on this,
Yeah.
and it would work.
So we're going to take our glue.
Regluing both in the neck and
Yeah, we're gluing everything together all at once. We're going to paint it into the slot. Step 2,
biscuit.
biscuit. Step 3,
Gob up inside here.
inside here and here, all the way around.
Of course.
We're going to take this and just rotate it down.
And we want this to be flush with the body.
It's flush on the right side, just a tiny bit out. What do you think?
Good. Let's clamp it up. So now
Right.
the neck is attached.
Yeah.
Boom.
It looks like a guitar now.
It does.
Right at the center line.
Yeah.
And look at that. The exact amount of elevation. You see the
And
gap
all
there?
this before you glue it up.
Yeah, barely.
People miss this. This is where people who aren't familiar with the Spanish model of guitar miss out. And they try to make that neck straight with the body, or worse, backbowed a little bit like steel strings are. It won't work.
Wow.
How easy was that?
That'd be pretty difficult.
All right, let's make a fingerboard. This is a fret rule to rule all fret rules.
So this is for what, the 20.5 scale length that we're using?
Yeah, this is a 650, which is 25 and change.
About a Fender scale length.
a little bit
Fender's
bigger.
25.5.
Yeah, this is a little bit bigger.
Gibson, yeah.
This starts at the nut, so we have to make sure that we cut all 20 frets.
This is the octave, I'm assuming?
Yep, that's the 12th. We always have that marked just so we can kind of get a reference of where we are. But when we were laying out the scale, I also used this to reference the end of the body to where I wanted the sound hole.
Oh, because that's also the body of the guitar as well,
Right.
at 12.
Right.
So that's a really important one
So,
for a lot
yeah.
of reasons. So the scale length is here to somewhere over here. We know the octave from here to the bridge. That is exactly in the middle.
Right.
So wherever this length plus that is where exactly the bridge is going to be.
Right.
And then these other frets are calculated by what is the...
It's 1 over the 12th root of 2. It's roughly 1 over 18, because 1 over 12th root of 2 is like 17.8, da, 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 and on and on and on.
If you have the full string, then to find the first fret, you get rid of 1/18.
Yeah,
Is that what that ratio means?
It's 1/18 of the overall length.
I get it.
Hypothetically, if you had an 18-inch scale, the first fret would be at 1 inch.
Uh-huh.
And then, you measure again, so it's now a 17-inch scale, and then it's 1/18 of that.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
And so on and so forth.
Because of the harmonics, I know the 12th fret is exactly in the middle.
Yep.
7th is 1/3.
Yep.
5th is 1/4. Basically, these frets need to be in a very particular spot, especially up here.
When you have a fret that's out of place in the first 5 to 7 frets, it really doesn't matter at all. I've seen some guitars up to almost 1/8 of an inch off.
You have this made so that you don't need to do that every
Right.
time.
We had a PhD professor from Northwestern calculate this for us when we worked with our quote-unquote Bible. This is the code that was used,
To make this?
to make this.
To generate the measurements.
Yeah.
The machine shop that they cut the slots using
Yeah.
a milling machine.
This is the fretboard.
This is the
That we're
fretboard
looking at.
calculations that we use. Basically, we go from 12 inches all the way up to almost 37 inches in
Yeah,
terms of
scale
scale
lengths
length.
from 12 inches to 37 inches
Oh.
in very tiny increments.
Right.
So if
So-
we have to make a custom fretboard for an odd scale that we don't have one of these made for, then we go to this.
Right.
And we have the
Wow.
measurements already there.
That is cool.
Now you can go on the internet and actually just punch it in and get the same thing.
Right.
But this is so retro, we love it.
Fret scales right there.
Yeah, done by our friend Robert Welland, professor emeritus from Northwestern University. So we need to true up one side of this fingerboard because this needs to rest against our fence.
But we're deciding what is the front.
Right. If we put it on this way, you'd have this line kind of falling away just because I like the way it looks, that the line will go up.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. Like on my electric guitars, I have I don't have any inlays up here, but on the
Right.
high side, I have them on the top. So having that line on the top, I think would be cool.
So now we've got this pin directly over the saw blade. This saw blade is exactly the size of our fret wire. We have this blade custom made for us. We're going to start at the 20th fret and we're going to cut halfway across.
Why halfway?
Because I don't like the look of a full 20 fret running all the way across. For most players,
okay.
most guitarists are used to seeing a 19th fret that bisects the sound hole.
I didn't think about that.
Okay, so when you put a 20th fret on and you make that bisect the sound hole, a lot of players will lose their visual reference because subconsciously they'll say, okay, this is like 3 down from the top fret.
So we're also going to be cutting this kind of like that.
Yeah, we're going to put a little swoop on it. It's going to look good. And then after that, we're going to do a push across and a reset, which is why we tape this down. If you go across and back, the blade will wobble in the slot because
It'll
it's
become
now
too big.
unsupported. It'll become too big. And then it also becomes bell-shaped, which is what will cause the fret ends to pop up.
Fret! All right.
Look at that.
Boom.
You ever play the video game Limbo?
No.
There's a lot of those in there, and they're bad news.
At this point, I like to just visually look at it this way because we can see if we missed one. We have to taper the fingerboard because this is just a blank.
Yeah, definitely a lot to... This is like a 9-string.
We got to trim off this end.
All right.
I actually like to fill this end with super glue so that way it makes it a lot more stable. We're going to sand the end nice and smooth. Because we've introduced a lot of heat and stress to it, we want to make sure that it's all put together. We need to find the center line of this. Let's go with 51 millimeters. Very standard nut width for a classical guitar. Forgot to mark our 12th fret.
Oh, let me go up my scales. Da, 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 da.
That looks very fingerboard. We're basically down to the lines. After this, what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with the hand plane to adjust it final.
Using the planer again?
Yeah, we're going to use the big hand plane.
That looks like serious business right there.
Yeah, it
You can
does.
feel how heavy it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a lightweight piece.
Not at all.
We need to mark the 12th fret from both sides just so that way we can keep track of where it is just visually. And you get these nice, absolutely beautiful ebony curls.
That is satisfying.
That is satisfying.
That is very satisfying.
You can hear how it just sings its way through. You can see that our pencil line is almost gone, so that's a good start. The reason I had you cut it a little bit wide, and since we are doing a 51mm nut, we need to introduce a little bit of flair into the fingerboard. On a classical guitar, the string envelope of movement is much larger than on a steel string, so we have to give allowance for that to happen. Because the strings are a lot stretchier, if you leave this too close to the edge, the possibility of pulling the strings off of the edge is very high. Let's flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Just
We can see right here how much of the fretboard I got rid of. About that much.
Those are nice big curls.
Yeah, those are fluffy curls. We want to end up at about 51.5, and we're at like 53, which is perfect, because we're going to now introduce the taper. We're going to start taking off a little bit, so we're going to start like here, and then move back to here.
With the same planer tool.
Yes.
We'll start here, cut through, start here, cut through, and that's how we get the taper.
Right.
4, 5, 7 is here about,
Ish.
and 9.
And then start from 12. Now we want to make sure that there's the right amount of flair.
Oh yeah.
So as you can see, that actually came out at 51.5.
All right.
We intended.
Yeah, you can really see the taper now. Do you put the frets on when it's on the guitar?
Yes. So that way the relief and the action is exactly what I want it to be.
Why do classical guitars not have inlays? Or dots?
Because they're snobs. No, I'm kidding. It's just the nature of the guitar. Going back to olden times, you had the oud, and the oud doesn't have any position markers. It doesn't even have frets. It's an extension of that where you don't have that.
So it just wasn't really something that they thought about.
Right. In order to play those instruments, you had to go through a very high level of training before you were even allowed to really play those instruments.
Steel string guitar are probably mostly bought by beginners.
And right now, classical, because it's born of that highbrow European heritage of the oud, turning into the lute, turning into the guitar, that at this point is why we don't use them. That's it. A lot of guitarists use a dot on the 7th fret on the side of the board. A lot of them will use 5 and 7. Some will use 5, 7, and 9.
Would you make inlays for those?
Oh, I make inlays for them. And with the right
Cool.
material, it can really shine through and just be exquisitely beautiful.
But you would never put like the dots on the fretboard. Even on my electric guitars, I have the dots after the 12.
I wouldn't say never.
Yeah.
I have done it for people.
I prefer the look of, at least up to the 12th fret, of no dots. Because I also don't find them to be very useful, but I definitely have them at the top, always.
Oh, yeah.
5, 7, 9, 12, and then I have on the fretboard to the higher. Because if I'm ever up here, then I need them. I have heard that there are no dots on classical guitars because people would play them with capo so often to change key, and so the dots would actually be confusing if you're using a capo. Is there some truth to that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is born of the flamenco tradition.
Yeah.
You capo at the 1st, and suddenly your 7th fret is your 6th fret.
Were you planning on putting a dot on this one? Was that part of your plan?
Yes.
I honestly haven't really given it any thought.
That we've got all sorts of different sizes, different shapes.
Dot dealer over
Oh,
here.
there we go.
Ooh.
So
That's what you would put into the 7th?
yeah. If I'm doing more than one dot, I like to do a white pearl dot like this at the 7th, that's 2 millimeters. And then at the 5th and 9th to do a 1.5 millimeter Paola abalone dot. This lighter green color, so you have that reference of this is a 7, it's really easy to see. Here's your other reference points. Don't worry about
That's
it. Put
cool.
it there. And they aren't drawing your eye as much.
That's cool.
This is where we're going to plane the underside of the fingerboard, so that way we can create a lot of the geometry that we need for the playability on the underside, so we don't have to take away our slots that we cut on the top side.
So we're making a groove into the neck?
Not a groove. It'll appear as a twist. We can pull the treble side back so we can have a lower action.
Oh, okay.
And then by rolling off the bass side, we're going to be able to have more relief on that. I do the vast majority of it on the underside, and then I do the final shaping on the top side. So we're going to work the bass side, and then the treble side. So this one you're going to have to lean into it, because now we're actually taking a very healthy bite out of very dense wood.
I don't fully understand why we're doing this.
And so it fits to the body a little bit easier.
It's because of the angle of the neck.
Right, the neck angle.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why we're doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that is a straight line, but the neck comes up at a bit of an angle on the guitar.
Right.
Okay. So I'm thinking back to the shot with the ruler on that showed the small angle.
Right.
We need to make room for that angle because this is a straight line. It's funny holding this now because this exact taper I now recognize from any classical guitar I've ever picked up. It's just so exact. And pretty much every corner has a different taper on it that you did.
Yeah. So now we need to scrape the underside of this because when we put the glue on, we actually want it to be slightly hollow in the middle.
I'm just creating an indent in the middle for the glue.
Right. And for the wood expansion.
There is so much more scraping than I thought.
Yeah, this is how a custom guitar is made. A precise fit for every single part, every single step along the way.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Nice. So now we need to fit this onto the guitar. We have to have room for the nut up here. So we have to scoot this down to the 12th fret.
This is now really looking like a guitar.
It's starting to get there. Make sure we're centered and lined up there.
Oh, of course, because we got to cut the hole around it.
Now we need to figure out how wide our little extra bit here for the 20th is going to be.
It's the first time actually holding it like this.
How's it feel?
Feels good. The neck's pretty thin currently.
We'll go just like that. Oh, that looks about right.
Smells like Oreos.
It does.
Beautiful.
Put it up. Nicer and elegant.
I love it.
That's really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to come in here with a little bit of knife work, a little bit of scraper, and a little bit of sanding.
Would you know what the song is?
Yes.
What is it?
Blackbird.
Well done. Oh,
So
yeah.
let's test fit this. So we need to take
That's
a
such a
little
cool
bit
design.
more off of here. And while I do this, I want to get you starting to French polish the bridge. I'm going to have you start by putting a couple of layers of a wash coat of the shellac. We don't want to go too heavy.
Mhm.
I want to make sure everything's covered.
It smells potent.
Well, it is potent. It's 190 proof alcohol.
Yeah.
I've got this marked out. We've got our edge here, our edge very much right here, kind of a lead line, and then a corner here. So that way when we glue this down, we know exactly where to put it. We're going to do one last sand here. We just want to do a quick orbital. We want to get rid of all of our fingerprints. We want to make sure that we've got a nice smooth surface. I always like to get this as cleaned up as much as possible.
It is pretty cool seeing it at this point. I think but when we got here, this was just a bunch of wood.
Yeah, as tradition dictates, I have a message for every single guitar that I build.
How often is the fretboard then later taken off?
Once
Just
every 100 or so years.
Yeah.
We both have to sign it. And I do that for every single one
Oh,
of my
you do?
guitars. Yeah.
Do you write that same thing too?
Yes.
What's the super glue for?
It'll make finishing go a lot faster and easier. It'll fill the wood and just makes it take the finish a lot faster so you don't have to spend as much time working there. You can see how much smoother that is compared to here.
Oh yeah.
Gotta get this lined up here.
So the glue has somewhere to stick.
We need to rough it so it grabs and bites.
We
It's
only have a
really
very-
important to set it correctly right from the get-go, because in the first couple of instances, the high glue is wanting to like grab it. It's trying to go like this, and you don't want to disturb that really. The most effective glue joint is right then and there. Even most professional makers would recoil in fear at using this glue for this operation because there's so limited time to work.
Right. And there will also probably be in horror that we're not preheating this or
Yes.
preheating this, so that way you get more working time.
Right. Move right
Works
along.
fast. If
Yeah.
you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes. I believe I am.
Moment of truth.
All right. Here goes nothing.
All right. All right.
Dabbing.
That's good.
That's good.
Got over the whole thing up there?
Yep.
Been dabbed.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Go.
I know. You only get one chance for this to be right. No, hey, stop it. So this is going to go down. One's going to go here. Good to go.
Good to go? That good?
We're going to get it nice and tight.
Oh, look at that squeeze out. Beautiful.
Keep going. Keep going.
Keep cranking it?
Yep. You're going to have a hard time over tightening it here.
Okay, then I can really.
Yeah.
All right.
World
There you
land
go.
speed breaker.
Well, you know, when you get 3 hands in there.
Well, that was exhilarating. Did we do it right?
Yeah.
Look at
Look at
that.
that.
Hey!
Ooh, this is heavy.
It's real.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Well, we added a lot of metal.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Well done, guys.
And the beauty is that fingerboard, that top, everything, it's all at the same equilibrium of humidity. Nothing is going to be fighting itself.
That fingerboard has been sitting around since '86.
Yeah.
Well, at least, well, in this shop. Yes.
Yeah. In our possession. So, it's all.
So how long does this take you?
Neck shaping, 3 to 4 hours. Cut off the heel cap and get it flushed up because there's a fairly large bump there. So we're going back to your favorite plane. Your very favorite one.
planer. That really
Whoa.
feels wrong.
And hack our way down. Go ahead and give it a try.
It feels like I'm ruining the guitar. I mean, how many times have I said that? So what are we doing today? Because there's a lot that you've been doing off camera.
Right. After we got the fingerboard glued on, I showed you how I was starting to finish out the neck and shape it. But I always shape the neck for every person's hand, just to make sure that it is perfect. Neck shape is very personal, very important for a lot of players. At this point, I got it mostly roughed out. It's pretty close to where you want it, unless it's exactly where you want it. And in case, yay, give that a feel, as if you are going to play it. Feels fat anywhere or overly round or whatnot, you can always change it up a little bit. Pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is lovely. I don't see any changes really that I would need. Also, I usually play an electric, so it's kind of hard
Okay.
to tell. Like, I don't have a standard classical neck that I would want. I'm kind of just taking your word for it. The only classical I've really played is that $50 plastic one that I got
Right.
when I was like 13 from my friend's dad.
So if it feels good, then I think that we can do the rest of the cleanup. There's some guitars where it's almost a square where they just lightly break the corners and it's completely flat across the back. There's some where they're overly round. I like to do kind of a little flatter here and a little bit more here with a slight asymmetric round off to this side so that way you've got a little bit more room for your hands.
It's lovely.
So the other thing that I've done since the last time, I just put a light fill onto it so that way when we French polish it, it'll clean up a lot faster.
What is the fill?
It's just a wash of shellac and let it settle in. It's pretty matte. We need to give this a light sand back because you can feel that there's some grittiness on it.
Yeah, just
and
a
you
little.
can hear it. I think I've got close to 15 hours into this since the last time you saw it, just to clean it up. It's all little tiny detail work. It doesn't read well on camera. It doesn't read well anywhere other than in the final product.
Yeah, feels great.
We need to do the last final sanding with some higher grits because it's left off at 100 grit.
And you already did quite a lot of sanding on the fretboard.
I have done nothing to the top of the fretboard. That's one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to get the top of the fretboard shaped, get the bridge on, and the frets knocked in.
So what's first up? Getting
First
the
up-
frets in? 'Cause I've already done some of that on this channel, and it didn't really go well.
Let's start in with the fingerboard, and I've got my guard here.
Ooh.
We don't accidentally dig into the top.
That would be a real shame at this point.
Yeah, it really would be.
Let's get the straight edge. So now we have to figure out exactly where we're at.
We're going to be taking this to it.
Yes. Pinch the guitar between our hip and the wall.
It just looks weird to do this to this guitar. Yeah. And you're putting in a bit of a curve to it too, yeah?
Yeah. We're gonna
I can see from the top where you're kind of...
giving a little twist on it to this side and then also to this side. We're going to want to take off a little bit more here and a little bit less here. Ideally, if we did things right before, we should be able to just smooth out the top side. We'll be ready to put in the frets.
And you put most of the curve on the top because the strings are bigger?
Well, yeah, we put the curve on it because if you have a perfectly flat fingerboard and you do a bar fret, it feels like it's concave.
Yeah.
So your finger will naturally want to curve to it. So that's why we want to put a little bit of a curvature on the top side.
Yeah.
And then we also have to put in a relief, because one of the misnomers is that the neck has to be perfectly straight. That's not the case at all. You actually need to have the curvature to mimic what I call the envelope of movement of the string.
Yeah.
Because if you have a dead straight neck, you have to have the action really, really high in order for the strings not to slap around the 12th fret. So we're looking to get most of our curve between the 1st and 7th fret, and then after that it should start to straighten out.
Okay.
Let's get this top side flattened out.
Let me know if I'm screwing anything up too bad.
Don't break anything.
I'm trying not to. Kind of hard to turn this.
It's not a natural position, is it?
No, it's really weird, frankly.
So careful
Ooh.
not to push down too much.
Yeah.
Because now you're starting to flex the neck.
Yeah,
Just
that's
enough
no
to-
good. Feels like I'm gonna get into one of the frets and like take it off, you know?
Yeah. Let's see where we're at. We're starting to get a little bit of relief here. As well.
Yeah, I really took off a good chunk here.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It'll sand out. We haven't
We
taken
haven't done
anything
anything to that yet.
Yeah. And you want to put more bias over towards the first string so that way your hand can fall into a more natural position. We're getting there. We need to definitely work more on this upper end. We're getting into really delicate areas here. That sounds really good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we don't want to cause a divot, so let's take a check again. That's what I would call a medium crown. Some people want a little bit more, some people want a little bit less. Very little gap here. It's about the thickness of a cheap, thin business card. We use standard measurements around here. We also have to take into account the flex of the neck.
When you look straight down, you can see the bow.
Yeah, which is what you want. Because if you don't have that bow in there, it's going to buzz.
This is a classic guitarist move to go into a guitar store and do this and pretend like you know what you're talking about, but what you're looking for just a little bit of a curve. If you can see, it's just very, very subtle.
Once we get the string tension onto it, it'll pull up just a touch and it'll be a lot more visible. But the frets will also counteract that.
All right, so what's next up?
So now we're going to scrape the fingerboard, smooth it out. We should give it one last feel.
Feels good to me.
All right, all we're going to do is take our sandpaper. We're going to use the flex of the neck in our favor. So by putting the cradle up here, push down a little bit and get a little bit of that flex into the neck. So now we need to make sure that the slots are completely cleaned out because we're going to be sizing the fingerboard, filling all the pores of it, and essentially plasticizing the top surface. Now we're going to go back to our trusty friend, the super glue, but we want to do it in a thin layer. Going to very carefully do a circle like that. Spread it out. Careful not to run over the slots because we don't want to fill them in, but we want to have the entire area filled.
Just whoops.
That's plenty.
That's plenty. I think I went a bit overboard there.
Yeah.
We're putting super glue on it to fill the holes,
Right.
and then just sanding it all down back to the wood so that there's no place for water or other oils to catch in the wood. Is that right?
Yeah, and it'll help make it buff up cleaner and be really shiny. And now that we've got the fingerboard done, we should also think about dots. You mentioned you wanted 5, 7, and 9.
Yeah, let's do 5, 7, 9 as we plan. Cool, that should be good.
Yeah, that looks great. We're going with the 2 millimeter pearl and then the 1.5 millimeter Paola abalone. We do a lot of test pieces because there is some variability in the size of the pearl. Because it's such a small area between the frets, I'm very neurotic about this because you get one chance at it. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to figure out the exact centers between each fret.
Well, if we go from the edge of the frets, then I could make it 30 probably.
Okay, so we'll make it 15.
Yeah, 15.
Now we have to measure between the edge of the ebony and that line.
Right there.
Okay. We're going to mark our spot here. Now we've established our hole. I'm actually going to pinch this So go for 9 because it's the same size.
There we go.
So here's one with a nice color.
Very, very small. It's really shiny side here.
Now's the hard part. Get this lined up, and I get it into the hole lightly and nice. Tap.
Just a little bit of glue. Okay.
God.
There we go.
That's all you need.
I guess you're just supposed to hit it once.
So there we go. That's sanding the top and knocking in some frets.
That's pretty satisfying.
So now we need to go in and cut the frets deeper.
Yes.
Because they were at the proper length and then we got rid of a lot of material.
Right. So I've got a guard here. I've got it set to the depth of the fret hang, plus a gnat's hair. Very carefully.
Okay.
Drop the tail of the saw just a touch to mimic the curve of the.
You said once you can see the border starting to move the dust around, then you know you've got the right. There's a lot of glue in this one.
Sorry.
Well, I'm the one who glued it.
Just like
You
that.
can really see too why you have this
Yeah.
protection over it.
You know, I don't want to put an accidental saw cut into a $100,000 or $200,000 guitar. At the end of the fret wire, this is not a perfectly right angle here where the tang meets the fret head.
The fret end is kind of like a mushroom from Super Mario Brothers type shape.
So what I like to do is break the corners of the fret slots so that way this edge will actually sit down flush against the top of the fingerboard.
Oh, okay, to round off the edges so it's not a...
Right.
I mean, there's really no right angles just about on the guitar,
No straight lines, no right angles, no nothing.
even in the frets.
Even in the frets.
Is this so that it goes in better now or so that later it can be worked on more easily?
Both. And it only takes a minute or so to do, but it makes all the difference in the world. I remember at sca-taylor guitars, you guys kind of put in the fret wire rather flat
We did.
and long.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah, that looks right.
So you won't be doing that today?
No, we're not going to be doing that today. I like to have the hands of my clientele be intact at the end of the day. We're going to take the fret wire, we're going to bend it, and we're going to put an arch into it.
Put a little bit of an arch for this.
Right, so we're not having to pull it down. We're actually smushing it into
okay.
the slot.
And do you put glue in there too, or no?
We put glue in after the fact because we want to make sure that everything is down. So that way, if we've got a little fret end that's sticking up, we can give it a whack.
So you're just getting rid of the extra oils and stuff that the company put on the
You
fret.
can see how much extra oil is.
Yeah.
You can actually
Yeah, you can
hear
hear
it
it.
Yeah.
coming clean.
Tune the
Because-
frets.
Yeah, we tune everything, including the fret wire.
Let's hear that note again.
Make sure it stays straight up and down. Give it a crank.
And it's already set into the angle that, oh, and this is going right into my face.
You should be familiar with the fret wire in your
Yeah,
face by this
yeah.
point in time. And all we have to do is clip it to the exact size that we
Hammer
want.
it in.
Ever so slightly long.
It's looking a little Satari.
Is that decibels?
Yeah. We gotta check our work. We got a little bit of a rock here. And then to get some of the extra relief, we're going to dress all of these frets with the exception of the first fret. And we're going to leave that one relatively undressed. So that way it helps to add some more of that relief in.
And what is dressing the frets?
Filing.
Finally.
Yeah.
Do we put the first fret in now, or do we do that after dressing the fret?
After dressing the
After
frets.
dressing them. So now we glue, chop off the ends, file down the sides, and then do all the same for the first fret.
Yes. As you can see, I'm just putting a drop of glue. We're using gravity for us, so it runs along the edge. Now we have to clip off the extra ends. And then I'll put a guard
Oh yeah.
just up against here before I move the guitar. I like to just count it up, make sure that I've got all of them before I move, because the worst thing that you can have happen at this point is to have one of these little guys on your bench like that, and you flip the guitar around
And then scratch the
it
back.
all up. Nice.
Awesome. 17, 18, 19.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, we did get that one.
We're actually going to have to go outside and fluff off the towel just to be safe. Now we have to file off the edges.
It would be so easy to go into that headstock right now.
It is. This is where it gets difficult.
Ooh.
On the thumb right against this, so use your thumb as a spacer. Nice.
Good.
We got a little bit more to take off here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you round off the sides?
Instead of holding the file like this, I
Hold it
hold
at
it like
angle.
this. Next step is filing the tops of them.
So do you need to do some filing for your file before we file?
No, but I'm going to file it away to do it later.
Okay. We're just getting the frets
Even.
straight. Yeah,
Even.
even.
We've got this all evened up. All we have to do is bump in this last fret. This is one of those things where it makes all the difference in the world on how it plays.
I love how there's extra care to just the first fret.
Oh, it's the most important one. The nut is set to the first fret, which then sets up everything downstream. So if you aren't paying attention to the first fret and the positioning of the nut, then everything else just kind of falls on its face.
Oh, those are the frets.
Those are the frets. Frets are in.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's still pretty sharp.
I would not recommend playing this way.
And you're just tossing a little angle off the edge.
Quite a bit of an angle, actually. Do that
Not a problem.
Ooh.
And that's why we don't sand the top of the frets until after this.
Yeah.
But the important thing was getting the dots in.
Yeah, they look beautiful. I see a lot of handmade guitars and older guitars where those dots aren't perfectly there. And I've kind of wondered, like, why did it end up going to the side? Now I definitely know.
That 7th fret is a little bit to the right, and that's because I didn't do a super great job with the drill bit. I got it into the hole where it was supposed to go, and then it just moved to the side.
Actually, you know what? I've rationalized that to myself with other guitars where when you're playing it, it looks like it's in the middle. If it's a little bit to the right.
Oh.
So if you're, yeah, at this angle, it's right in the middle. Which was intentional, clearly.
Of course.
I was thinking that, yeah.
They were thinking of the player when they set that in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Genius.
We're going to give the top a light sand, but I wanted to get a lot of the ebony dust off. But you can feel that this is all nicely rounded over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the sides are nice and rounded off. How long did it take you to round the edges off here?
I typically spend about an hour
About an
rounding the edges. I've done the first pass of sanding on the back. Let's shellac. So
Let's
first we
shellac.
start with sandpaper. All right, we're going to use my fancy dancy sandpaper.
All right.
Working only in line. We can't even go slightly across. We have to go perfectly in line.
Now we're getting into the really, really fine.
Yeah, you can hear that versus...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I think that should be good.
Feels really nice. We need to round these corners. Just like that.
All right. And then repeat the process for all this.
Yep,
all
all the way
other
around.
sides. Yeah.
This is a really
Yeah.
crisp and sharp edge. We could go with just like a round over on it,
Mhm.
but I never like that look. So I like that crispness but softened. And this is
Yeah, that's nice and
that's
sharp
a
too.
wicked sharp. Basically, any place where you're going to feel like you're going to cut yourself is where we need to do this.
Just getting in every corner after that.
All the corners. So as we're getting ready for finish, for every minute that you spend on prep work, it saves you 10 to 15 minutes. And I was noticing here a couple streaks over here. It's kind of hard to see.
Just barely.
It's barely, but that's the difference between a guitar that looks like it's been well made versus something that's cheap.
Mm-hmm. And it's got to be perfect before we put the shellac on it, because then it's...
Right. I'm going to go through the same process for the rest of the instrument. You feel the difference now?
Yeah, I do.
But to me, that's too rough of a surface, so I'm
Doing
swapping
another?
out for a 320 pad. Because I've worked through 120, 150, 180,
I actually don't know what
220,
those numbers
320.
really mean.
the number of grits per certain size.
And now we're getting to much, much finer. Is this going to be
Right.
the final sand before...
This is a final sand before we put down our first wash coat of shellac, and we're just going to do one.
Now it almost feels like...
It feels like a finished guitar.
Yeah, like it doesn't even feel like wood at this
Right.
point, because it's so smooth.
Well, the finish that we're going to be putting onto it is so incredibly thin, it has to feel like this before we can go on.
Out of the 100 hours it takes to build a guitar like this, how many of those hours are dedicated just to sanding?
Probably close to 15 hours.
15 hours?
Maybe more. We're going to do our first wash coat of shellac on the back. So
That's
we need
the same shellac that we started making.
Yeah, I'm going to be using that because we made that last week. This is all I've got left for now.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be used up. We've been using this bottle for, I can't even tell you how many decades.
It looks like it. Bridge already has a...
Well, that's just ready for buffing at this point.
Uh-huh.
French polishing is nothing more than putting on really thin layers.
You just take the cheesecloth, put it on there, and then wipe
Yep.
it on?
I'm just going to blot it out. You can see,
Yeah, you see
How-
why it looks like that. The bottle is properly shellacked.
I like to start at the corner
Mm-hmm.
and seal in.
This is probably where most of the openings are.
You see how much color is being picked up on the pad?
What is that color?
That's the alcohol-soluble dyes in the wood naturally. So I don't want to pull them onto the lemon wood. All the way around the perimeter, and then I recharge, and here's where it gets pretty.
Oh, you really goop it on there too.
Yeah, wash coat.
It's really starting to come together.
You can start to see the natural beauty of the wood come out. That's all we need
Yeah.
for our first wash coat. We'll do that over the entire guitar.
And how many coats are there?
Thousands upon thousands of coats because you're constantly going over and coming back and forth. Feel this. You feel how it's kind of now rough
Yeah.
again? Wood filler. You take this and smear it in.
Clay.
So in the old days, they would use sawdust, and this is now synthetic
Oh, okay,
sawdust.
okay.
And it basically fills all the pores.
Filling all the cracks in the wood.
Yep. Remember how I'm always saying go this way? This one you actually want to go against the grain.
To get that in there.
I'm not leaving a whole lot on the surface. This is one of my favorite places to send a client a photo of their guitar.
I mean, it does look like we just made a fine piece of art, now we're just rubbing mud all over it.
Add just a little extra moisture. We'll call that good for now.
And do you put this wood filler on everything?
I choose the colors, so I'm not going to use this on the neck.
Of course, so there's different types of wood filler that are
Right.
going to...
This is now dry to the touch. We can sand this back. And now when you feel it, you can also feel how smooth it is.
Then you essentially do the same thing to every single side except for the front,
Yes.
but without the orbital sander.
Yes. And I'll have a mountain of dead sandpaper.
Yeah.
And I'll be covered head to toe in dust. The interior of my car is dirtier than the exterior of my car because of sanding this. So now we can actually throw on another
Coat of
wash
shellac?
coat. Yep.
It smells like a pretty heavy booze smell.
I'm putting a very, very heavy coat on for this
Yeah.
first coat.
We got it finely sanded, wash coat of shellac,
Yep.
wood filler, wash coat of shellac.
Yep.
And now we're on to putting shellac on in a different way to make it shiny.
Yeah. The shellac is
said?
this constant building process.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to add and take away and add and take away. 320. We're just going to sand this
So as you continue going, every layer, you just get more and more careful with it until you're onto the fine linens, and that's where you have the French polish.
Yes. So now we've got our Egyptian linen. We're just going to go back and forth like this. We're just going to do this probably 2 or 3 times.
So now it's just a process of repeating this.
Yes. If you could hand me the bottle of olive oil.
This is just the same olive oil you would put on a pan if you're cooking.
Yes. I'm going with a medium pressure, but you can see that it's really starting to come up and pop.
It's really, really thick too. Like, it really takes a lot of pressure to just move it around.
And you're starting to get a nice shine already.
Like, and even just looking at the back versus the side is wild.
Most varnishes, you can't touch it this soon, but go ahead.
Yeah, this one.
It's dry.
Ooh.
It's dry and it's smooth.
Wow. Okay.
So now we can come
Yeah.
back and just
Sand it.
we're gonna move to the 600 grit sandpaper, and then 1200, 1500, and 2000, and then work it just with pure Everclear to wipe it away. Now you can see why I go through mountains of sandpaper on
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, totally.
I know, this is like watching grass grow, but slightly less exciting.
There's really a lot of steps to finishing wood.
And it takes a long time to figure it out, too, and to learn the process.
This is just pure Everclear.
This is pure Everclear. Pure green up.
Can you finish it with like a high-grade whiskey? Like tequila?
Well, you could...
I mean, you wouldn't want to.
No, you wouldn't want to.
It's just a waste of tequila. Do some guitar builders distill their own alcohol?
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly. This looks amazing.
And this is just getting started. It'll be way
We're not
better.
even
This
close to being done.
We have many hours of this left.
Comment if you want a 30-hour shellac video.
Yeah, I
In
can
real time.
I can do a live stream on this one if
Yeah.
you want.
So now we're going to do all those same things with the top.
Yes,
Well, you must listen to a lot of podcasts.
I do.
Something
A
like- yeah.
lot of books on tape, a lot of podcasts.
Giraffe femur is what you make the net out of?
Like real draft?
Yeah,
Is the draft okay?
it's feeling much better
Is
now
it? Why draft?
because that was what was for sale on eBay.
So any femur will do?
Yes, any
femur will
for-
do.
Yes,
Can you legally buy draft femur?
yeah, it's on eBay.
This draft had a full life and then died, though, right?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
died of natural causes. It
Yeah.
was a former zoo, born in captivity, raised in captivity. I think it was like 50 some odd years old when it died. So
Oh, and then the zoo
it sells
sells the femur.
and other bones too.
The draft economy is just a totally new thing to me. When I die, you can take my femur and use it on the nut of a guitar. I would actually love that. I would love for my femur to be on
You know what the problem with human femur is? I mean, not that I have a whole lot of experience
with
with
human femur.
it. It's just too small and you can't get a good sized nut out of it.
You can't?
No. At this point, we've got the top mostly French polished. It needs to be buffed and whatnot. Now we have to put a little bit of a hollow into the bridge.
So what I'm really interested in here is how do you make sure that the bridge is in exactly the right spot? Because if
Yeah.
it's not, this guitar is ruined. Do you double check it with a string or something? Or is
No.
is that measurement?
No, in typical fashion, we've got a tool to take all the thought out of it. We're going to score this up.
Yeah.
Back to gluing.
Yeah.
There we go. First, we need to drill these out again,
Okay.
just very gently.
Roughly here.
Now just eyeball it. Tell me where you think it's going to be, and then we'll measure it.
Good call. Okay, I'm gonna say this is too far. Right here. No, wait, that's wrong.
Do we want to point out the big thing? Comment
No.
down below if you can
Oh.
see what's wrong with it.
This?
There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Wow. I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
Oh.
Well, what is that?
Back there.
Okay,
That
well, I was
really
pretty close. Okay,
that was really close.
We're going to tape this to this measurer, put a couple pieces of tape on the backside. Once we've got our tape placed onto here, we're going to put this down onto the top. At that point, we're going to take our knife, we're going to hold it down, and we're going to scribe a line around the perimeter of the top.
And then you're gonna cut out.
And then we're
all
going to
of the-
scrape out all the finish that we've just put down.
Yeah. This is definitely at the part of the process where you're taking over. Taking this to the guitar.
But first, we're going to give this a quick buff so we take
Okay.
away any of the excess oils and stuff like that. This is really nerve-wracking, buffing this close to the finish time. It's been less than about 15 minutes, and normally I like to give it at least 12 hours or overnight. The finish is really, really soft and has a really high potential of burning.
I'm filming now.
I'm getting ready to splunk this down to figure out exactly where I want this to be. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to sight down the fingerboard and check my left to right. I can definitely come over just a smidge. Per the scale, it should measure out at 650. All right. Very carefully take my scraper and all this beautiful French polish that we just put on. Last little bit coming in. All right, and there we go. We're back to bare wood. All right, so we've got a good idea. You know, this way I can get the light into the guitar. I can see exactly what I'm doing as I position.
Oh, I didn't realize
call.
you're putting the light so that you can see through and
Yeah.
see the braces.
Yeah, high braces.
Oh, I remember those.
What I need to do is put this in underneath here, and I want to make sure that I'm not, you know, crooked like this. By using the light kind of as an X-ray machine,
Yeah.
we can see exactly where we're going to go with it.
So that way we can, when we glue the bridge, it can clamp with that on the other side.
Right. All right. It works. Thread our clamps into place. Tape over the bridge holes so we don't get glue back into them after we just clean them out. Just make sure everything's in place and ready to go. Glue is being spread, so we are at the point of no return. All right, that goes there.
All right.
And the bridge is down. So we went from essentially raw wood today to having a bridge glued on with frets installed and a back filled, and my work cut out for me for the rest of the week.
Yeah. It always looks so cool with the clamps too. All right, and that stays in there for about 24 hours, you
Yeah,
said?
this is at least an overnight glue.
All right.
Cool.
Just gonna leave me hanging like that?
Oh. I thought you were telling me to stop.
No, I was giving you a high five. All right, yeah.
Day 5.
Hour 100.
Yeah, we're getting right down to the end of it. What you aren't seeing on camera is that I'm doing a lot of work in between. And this one, it doesn't look like a huge change from where we left it last time. I think I've got 30 some odd hours in it since last week.
So what,
Beautiful.
in those 30 hours, yeah, the sides now. Good grief.
I continued to polish up the top. I did a double fill over the entire guitar, so that means putting that filler on like I showed you last week, sanded that back, wash coated it, put filler on, sanded it back, wash coated it, and that was all after a major final sanding. This is all hand padded French polish.
Wow.
No spray gun, no nothing. This is all done by hand. And it just takes hours upon hours because of the style of music that you play. And personally, I believe that every single guitar should have one of these. I put a clear pickguard, or in the classical world we call it a tapping plate or a golpeador, It's more removing that final boundary of trepidation for most classical guitarists. It prevents nail marks. It'll keep a lot of great guitars in circulation if they had them. This will allow you to play whatever you want, however you want it, because this finish is micro thin. Plated the surface with the shellac instead of causing an actual physical buildup like you see on a lot of mass market guitars. Today we're going to start off by polishing up the frets. We're going to buff the guitar. We're going to polish the frets one more time. We're going to get the tuning machines installed. We have to cut a saddle and a nut for it, put the label on last.
And then strings, I'm assuming.
Did you bring any?
No.
We're going to start off with the 320. Sanding the surface of the wood, we're sanding the surface of the frets. We're going to get right up against the edge. Now we've done that with the 320, go straight to the 600.
Same deal.
Same deal. Feels smooth.
It really does.
It doesn't feel like wood anymore.
No, it doesn't. Got a lot of ebony on my fingers here.
Let's get the sucker polished up. This one, it's really easy to throw the guitar.
Holy cow.
Woo.
Beautiful.
That's shiny.
Yeah.
To just kind of get the excess wax off. All right, so now we have to buff up the guitar. This is a automotive polish.
This is usually for cars.
Yeah. We're going to constantly be moving.
I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I'm just slowly seeing the reflection.
I totally see it.
Yeah.
Totally see it.
Hey.
There's so many layers over the wood. See the reflection. You can see Jake there.
Ah!
So we're going to just do that for the whole guitar, and it just comes up beautifully.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I can read what lens you're using.
Even through the headstock.
Oh, yeah. You can hear it.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I do like to try to keep my grubby hands off the guitar as much as possible. I intentionally don't finish my ramps nor the tip of the headstock just because I actually like that textural contrast between the shiny and the matte.
Yeah, I like it too.
We have to sand this with a block of 120 grit sandpaper and then sand it with 220 and 320.
Ooh.
Oh. Then we're going to take it to our polishing wheel and polish it on the guitar without touching any of the other finish.
It almost at this point doesn't seem real. Like, do you get that sense too? Like when you look, cause now that it's shiny and finished,
Like
it's like we didn't make this.
Yeah.
This didn't we didn't put that in. I don't know. All polished up, it just doesn't. It just looks so much different. I'm so used to it looking like that.
Wipe it up.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to install the tuners. 4 screws each.
The ebony is so pretty.
It is. Each roller has a bearing on the inside and outside edge. So that way, if there's any goop inside of the holes, it doesn't creak, it doesn't make a whole lot of noise, and everything turns a lot easier, so it's a lot easier on the gears. And
Yeah. Ball bearings on both sides.
Yep. When we drilled the
Awesome.
holes, we actually drilled it undersize.
So do you drill it again?
Yep.
How much is this set?
About $350.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
300. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, they're not, well, they're my entry level.
Yeah.
This first pass is literally just getting rid of the goop. Second pass, starting to cut into the wood a little bit. And the last thing you want to do is go all the way through. And this one brings it to the proper size for the machines. Right. Ooh. We are ready for the machines. It's such a huge moment when tuners go onto a guitar.
Beautiful.
Like it was made for it.
Ooh. Sound like a big Lego piece.
Look at that.
Ooh. That the tuning pegs match the fretboard is so lovely.
I'm also oddly particular about the way that the screws go into the head.
Is it that you want them all to be
I want them,
facing the same way?
yes. And I don't want them over tight either.
All right.
Got a sheet of labels, so this way if we screw up, we've got another.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna just number this real quick.
It's fitting too that you're number 96. It looks like you've done that 96 times, and mine looks like I've never written anything.
But we have to lock in the signature.
You gonna shellac it?
And that's it.
All right.
And now we need to make a saddle.
What is the saddle?
The saddle is the piece of
Oh, of
bone
course,
that goes
this-
here.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to fit a nut for this as well.
Now we're going on to what the string is going to be touching.
Yes, this is
The actual playable part of the string.
yeah, the actual setup. This is a chunk of
Giraffe
giraffe
femur.
femur.
Bone dust.
Yes, it's gonna smell like the dentist in here.
A really intense dentist.
It's now nice and smooth.
So you just gonna do the rest of it here?
Yep.
How thin do we?
We're gonna
I
get down
guess
to 2.2 or 2.3 millimeters.
All right. This is kind of the adjustable part of the bridge.
Yes, this is a very adjustable part of the bridge. This should never ever be glued in.
So it's just on there by
By
being
the-
a good fit.
Yep.
And once the strings are on, that'll keep it down. Oh, and you measure the action that way.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna come over to a 6-string and call that 3 1/4.
And then you just shape it with the sanding wheel. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but
Yeah. Bring that across there.
I see you have just the slightest curve in there.
A very well-defined edge. You've got a very defined stopping point for the string. If it's too flat or if it's rounded, you don't have that crisp edge, which gives you the crisp note. A common mistake I see with a lot of really well-known makers is that they'll round it over because it looks nice. But the problem is that you get a very indistinct and fuzzy end of the note. You want all the energy to be reflected.
Well done. Here to here to that.
To here. Just polishing it up.
Now it looks so much like guitar saddles I've seen so many times. It's just I haven't been aware of any of the process up to this point. How it was made was really a mystery.
This is the Kobe. Sand this down until it fits. Because there's an ever so slight taper, we're going to have to work with that and make sure it stays square. It's wider over here and narrower over here.
Is this not glued in either?
No,
Just like yeah,
never
just like
glued
the
in.
saddle. Do you just file in where the strings go?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that fits. And get out of feel.
Yeah, it's just barely wider.
So now all we have to do is file these down.
Yeah. It feels like this is just one thing. 3 different pieces of wood here and bone. It just feels like it's one thing.
Very nearly done.
This is essentially the string height line. Gonna sand this down a little bit, put a little curvature on it. So we've got a light angle on there. One of my dad's vintage business cards. Here's the outside edge of the nut. Outside edge of the nut. First string through 6th string. You can see I've left a thick pencil line. You don't want all the slots to be the same depth. You want to have the first string a little lower, second higher, and third even higher. We're going to cut the first string down to the bottom of the pencil line. Second is going to go to the middle, and third is going to go to the top of it.
This is really, really, really specific.
Yes.
I'm surprised that you're using the same file for all of them. I figured they would all be different.
For a classical, it's about the depth change, not the diameter change, because the size difference is almost not there.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can you see the little steps of each string? So now it's just a matter of turning the edge over. All right, let's polish her up.
All right. Boom. All right, so polish the fingerboard.
Yep, we'll polish the fingerboard one last
Put the
time.
label in. Lunch. Strings. Now it goes back to smelling good.
Yes, we cleared the bone dust from the air. Throughout the course of the build of the guitar, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of falls in. So
Yeah.
you always want to...
Oh yeah.
How did that make it in there? Don't even use picks on a classical guitar.
Well, that's how ubiquitous the problem is.
I know.
Here's our treated label. This is the only place where we're going to use white glue on the entire guitar.
It all now just doesn't feel like wood anymore. It feels like a piece of marble or something. I mean, I understand why you're doing it. It's just funny that this also requires sanding because every single part required sanding.
And the only reason I used the wood glue for this is because it is waterproof and it cannot be undone. Every other joint on here has been done with a glue that can be easily undone, either through solvent or moisture and heat. The label is in.
That's awesome. I love it. And the guitar, other than the strings, is done.
It is done.
Yeah. Now it feels like this is a real guitar now.
It is.
Where at the beginning of this, it was just a
There's
lot of wood.
Yeah, there's a pile of wood that we fished out of my wood room.
All right, show us how to restring your classical guitar.
Really simply, it goes in, we loop around. 1, 2, 3 times for the first string. For this one, it comes through. It's actually taut. You go 1, 2 times around in the direction that you want the string to wind. Roll it over so that way the string is pinching down on itself.
It's first note.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Oh, is that what we used to wind?
Yeah. This one, you just bring it around here,
Oh, that's it.
pull it tight. The trick with this is making sure that all the last loops are locked down behind the bridge, so that way it's pulling into it. I just go around once, because these strings are pretty grippy. Make sure everything is in place.
We got ourselves a 2-string. Little as possible. I love that. I was told as a kid to do 2 and then 5 because it would stretch the neck or that's. Do you stretch them?
No.
No.
So you don't want to do that.
Everything
These-
I was told about stringing lounge strings is just
Yeah,
all
the-
wrong.
Yeah, I don't.
I love the gold strings too.
You can see how we've got the fingerboard set to mimic the envelope of movement
Yep.
of the string.
Nylon strings vibrate so much wider than electric guitar steel strings do.
They
This
do.
is really like, look how
That's
big that
huge.
is. Yeah, it's like 2 centimeters.
There we go. And that is a completed guitar.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
We all rolling everything?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. That's it. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for being along for this very long journey. Special thanks to Marshall for giving us the opportunity and giving me the opportunity to build my own guitar and making this beautiful instrument. This took 100 hours to build. We were there for 40 of it, and Marshall took care of all of the stuff that didn't end up on camera, like a ton of sanding and varnishing. Marshall wanted to give a discount to anyone who would want to get a beautiful instrument from them. That's in the description. You can use the coupon code Scallon. And yeah, I'm sure this isn't the last time I use this guitar, so if you'd like to subscribe, that's right here, as well as I'm sure we'll be on a lot more musical adventures. So thanks so much for watching, especially something of this length. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.